there, my name is Kelly Dell with Off the Beaded Path. I've got a physical bead store in Forest City, North Carolina. I've got a website called offthebeadedpathbeadstore.com, and I've been here on YouTube for about the last 11 years. I am so grateful you've joined me today because we are going to do our retro redo for March 2022. Our retro redo for this month is the Meridian earrings. So I came up with this pattern back in 2012. Did a video, wrote a pattern. Well, the original pattern and video used a 6mm Swarovski Monty in the center of the piece itself. Well, of course, those are not as available today in our days and times. So I have retweaked the pattern, and now in place of that Monty is an SS39 chaton. I am using the Preciosa brand chatons, and to be honest with you, this updated version I greatly love. So if you have some 6mm Monties that you want to use, this is a great project to use them on because you only need 2. So down below in the description box, I'm going to put a link to the original video so that if you want, you can use them there. Otherwise, we're going to do that updated version today. So let's go ahead and look at what we need to get started for this retro redo for March 2022. All right. So here's the original earring that I did 12 years ago. You can see that it kind of folds in on itself a little bit. If you do it nice and stiff, it doesn't seem to fold in as much, but there were a couple of things that I did not like about the design. All right, first of all, like I said, we could not get the 6mm anymore. And then up here at the top, this completely moved around. So sometimes when you're wearing it, it would lay like this, and nobody wants to see that. So that's why we are doing the retro redo for this month. You can see here that this earring is much stiffer. It's not as loose as this one is here, because you can see how it lays compared to how this one lays. You can see I have that beautiful chaton here in the center rather than the 6mm, and it just looks like a really nice earring. You'll also notice here that I have attached the ear wire directly to this little top spot so that it will not twist when you wear it. It will be a straight, pretty earring. So to do this project, what you need is 2 colors of a size 11 seed bead. Now you need one color that's going to be your A. Your A is going to be this color here in the center and the color here along the edge. Your B, which is this 11-0 here, is going to be basically here in the center, and that's where mainly you're going to see that one color. You are going to need a size 8 seed bead. Again, that size 8 seed bead is going to be in the center, and it's going to be on both sides. You need a size 6 seed bead. That's going to be your corners. And new to the pattern is a size 15 seed bead. Now these little 15s are going to be used here in the center, and I have added them here along the edges, just right here, to give the piece a little bit of extra stiffness and a little bit of extra structure. I've also used that here as well, so you'll be able to kind of see how that's going to be put together. So the first thing we're going to learn how to make is the puffy bead. This is a double-sided bead, just like this. So we're going to learn how to make the puffy bead, and then once we make all our little puffy beads, we're going to do this part, add that loop, and we'll be done with our awesome earring. Now for the project today, I'm going to be using the dragon thread. I'm using the 0.006, which is about the same as a 6-pound fire line. So those will work really well. You can see I'm using the white color today just because I'm using a lot of lighter colors here. I also used the white on this one. And this one was a test one that I did, and I used the dark color thread on this one. Now I want to tell you the main difference in this versus this, so we can also talk about seed beads. So you will notice there is a size difference here in this piece versus this piece. The reason being is this piece here is made with Miyuki seed beads, and this one is made with Toho brand seed beads. So with the Miyuki, it's going to turn out smaller. It's not going to be the same size, but also you're not going to be able to put in this fun chaton in the center using Miyuki seed beads. It just doesn't give you enough room to be able to put that in there. This was why I was kind of playing. These are true two fire polish beads here in the center. So you can see there that there is going to be a size difference if you use different brands of beads. So I'm going to be starting out with 4A beads. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'm going to hold these in place and I'm going to let these drop down. Now when I drop it down, I'm going to leave enough that I can just kind of hold on to the tail thread here. We're not really going to do anything with that tail thread, but it's nice to have something to hold on to while you work. I'm going to go through all 4 of those beads again. I'm going to hold them in place and then I'm going to pull the thread. Now when I pull the thread, I'm going to put the working thread and the tail thread together and I'm going to pull them together like this. At this point, you can kind of tug and shorten this thread a little bit if you want to. And then I'm going to tie these together into some knots. Now remember, you want good knots, not bad knots. Okay. Just like that. So that you're left with a little tiny circle of beads. Now it does not matter if I go to the left or to the right. I'm just going to start with one bead right next to my knot and I'm going to go through that bead. I'm going to pick up one B bead and go through the next A. Pick up a B and go through the A. Pick up a B, go through the A, and then we are going to pick up a B and go through the A. Now this time when we go through the A, we're going to go through the A and the first B we added. So we're going to go through 2 beads this time. So 1 and 2. So that my little square looks like this. Now I'm going to be moving on to my size 8 seed beads now. I'm going to pick up 2 of these and I'm going to go through the next B. Pick up 2 8s, go through the next B, 2 8s, and you can see there I've got one that's a different size. It was kind of a bad one, so I'm just going to flick that one off and grab another one. Wanted to be consistent in their size when we use them. And then one more time, 2 8s, and I'm going to go through the B and the first size 8 that I added, which is going to be this bead here. So 1, and then through that first 8. So that I have a little block of beads just like this. Now we move on to our next size bead, which is a size 6. I'm going to go through the 8 right next to the one I'm coming out and the next one. So I'm going straight across. So I'm skipping the B and only going through the 8s here. So it's going to stick that out. Pick up a 6, straight across through 2 8s. Pick up a 6, straight across through 2 8s. And then one more time, I'm going to pick up a 6 and go through 2 8s. And then I'm going to step up by going through my size 6 seed bead there. So you probably can't do this all at one time. That's okay. Go through what you can there. And at this point, if you pull it really tight, it'll start to curve just a little bit. If it doesn't, that's okay too. Don't stress about it. So now we're going back to our A's. We're finished with one side and now we're basically going to reverse. So I'm going to pick up 1, 2, 3, 4 of my A's and go through the size 6 seed bead. 4 of my A's and go through the 6. 4 A's and go through the 6. And now one more time, 4 A's and go through the 6. So that now I have a little cap. So we've got one complete side done. We've got our edging done. Now we're going to do the other side. So this time we're going to kind of mix it up a little bit. I'm going to pick up an 8, a B, and an 8. I'm coming out of a 6, so I'm going to come across to the next 6 and I'm going to go through that bead. Now, when I do that, I'm going to make sure that the beads I'm adding come to the top side. What I'm calling the top side is not this finished side, but I'm on top of the finished side. I'm going to do that again. An 8, a B, and an 8. I'm going to come across to the next 6 and go through that bead and get that in place. An 8, a B, and an 8. Come across. And then I'm going to do this one more time. So it's an 8, a B, and an 8. And I'm going to come across. Just like that. Now, when I step up, I'm going to step up by going through the 8 and the B that I added. So if I hold it like this, you can see there I'm going through an 8 and a B. So right now, it's still kind of pulled apart. So we're going to pick up an A, and we're going to come across to the next B. So it's going to seem like a big jump, but when we pull all this, it's going to come together, and you'll see. So I pick up an A and go through the B. Pick up an A and go through the B. And then last but not least, one more A. And I go through the B. Come on, there we go. So when I pull this tight and snug, you can see it's starting to come together. It's not going to be 100% together until we reinforce this and go through this middle row of beads again. So this time I'm going to go through the A right next to the B that I'm coming out of. And each time I pull this through, I'm going to pull the thread straight out the way it's coming out of the bead. So I just put my hand on it and pull really tight. Do not go through multiple beads at a time on this step. All right, you try to go through multiple beads, you're gonna mess it up. And my needle just came unthreaded, so let me thread my needle back really quickly here. There we go. And then I'm gonna do this one more time. I'm gonna go through that last A. So if you feel like this is still pretty loose, if you're loosey-goosey, then go through it again. I mean, you're not gonna be doing anything with these center beads, so don't stress about it, just go through it again. Now, I'm gonna go through the B right next to where my thread's coming out, through an 8 right next to the B, and then through the 6 here in the corner. This gets me out here to the side. I'm going to take the needle under the thread between that 11 and the 6, take my needle through it there, and now when I do this, I got to make sure that that knot goes in between those beads, and that it does, so I'm good. Now, if you feel like you need to, you can add more half-hitch knots, but this really only takes the one knot because we are going to be going through some of these beads several times, so not to worry. You get that? Not to worry. Now, I'm going to take my little awl. If you don't have an awl, you can use a stiffer pen or a T-pen or something. And I'm just going to take the piece in here, and I'm just going to put it in these 6. And I'm just going to kind of pull outward a little bit. That way, it helps with the shape of the piece, but also it pops it out and makes it look a little bit more squared off. And I like that a lot. You don't really get that look with the Miyuki seed beads as well. So now, normally what I would tell you to do is to go ahead and get rid of your threads, and then you would make more of these. But I've already done that ahead of time. I went ahead, you can see here each thread is already tied off and finished. So I've got 3 of these done here, and then the one that I just completed. So if you'll remember, we've already went through a bead with the needle here on this little tail thread. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to use my little wildfire zapper here, if I can hold on to this, and I'm going to get rid of that little short thread. I'm just going to set that to the side. Now we want to connect these pieces. Each piece is going to be connected on the outside and the inside here at our size 11As. So on the last one that I do, I'm going to leave my thread on, and I'm going to pick up an A. I'm going to pick up one of my completed components, and I'm going to take the needle, and I'm going to go through 4 of my A's here on this component, so that you can see how they lay there. Now I'm going to pick up an A, and I want to make a circle. So I've got this, 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 and now I'm going to come back again. So I'm going to go through these same 4 beads on that first component, so that now what's going to happen when I pull this and I go through all 4, it is going to connect. You'll see here, if I pull this apart, it connects the top and the bottom there of that little section of beads. So I'm going to go through the 6 on the same component. Now you'll notice that I am not reinforcing this. You don't have to reinforce that. So I'm going through the 6 and then through my 4 A's here on this side. And then I'm going to do that same thing again if I can get myself unhooked from my beadwork here. So I'm going to pick up an A. I'm going to take a new component, and I'm going to go through 4 of my A's and then lay it down just like this. Remember, we want them in like a cube or a diamond form. So now I pick up an A. And you'll see here, I started here, I came up, came down, so now I have to come up again so that this will make a circle of beads. So come up and go through, so that, voila, that is taken care of now too. So I'm going to continue through the A that I added, through the 4 A's here, through the 6, and then through 4 of my A's. If I can get it going there. There we go. All right, last component connection. So I pick up an A, and I go through 4 A's of the new component. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and again, I'm going to lay it in place here so I can see where I need to connect it. So you can see here, I've got here, and I come up and down. So now I need to go back up again so that I finish out that little circle. So I pick up my A, and I know that I've got to come back up through these 4 beads right here. These are the ones I started with. So that now I have 4 of them connected, but not completely together. You'll see there's no connection here. So what I have to do is I have to continue on through an A, and then 4A. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, through a 6, and then through 4A. And now I'm doing one last connection here of the A's. So you see what I've got? I pick up an A. I'm coming out here, so I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to come down through the A's on this side. Let me see here. And if you can't get through all 4 of them at once, that's fine. Just go through what you can get through. It's no biggie. Okay. And then I'm going to pick up another A. And my thread is here, so I have to connect it here. And once I get that, I've got all the connection. How about that? So it's really cute the way it is, but we need to put that fun chaton in the center. So I'm going to stitch to the center to come out of one of these 4 6s here in the center. So I'm just going to stitch through the A's and then through the 6. Now, 2 yards of thread has done all 4 components, and I'm going to also do this encasement with that 2 total yards of thread. So now I'm going to pick up an A, an 8, and an A. And let me make sure I picked up those beads. Yeah, I did. Okay. Want to make sure I picked up the right ones. So I'm coming out of this 6. So I'm going to skip the A here and come across to the next 6. So I'm going to go through right there, if I can get it. Yeah. There we go. All right. Now, I'm not pulling this tight. I'm only pulling these enough to kind of just pop them into place, and you'll see why in just a minute. So again, it's an A, an 8, and an A, and then come through the next 6. And I'm going to do this 2 more times. So an A, an 8, and an A, and come through the next 6 here. And then an A, an 8, and an A. And then I'm going to go through the last 6 here in the middle. Once I've gone all the way around, I'm going to take my needle and I'm just going to kind of pop out, I should say, that little size 8 seed bead that we put in the center of each of these little sections. And then I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to go through the first A and 8 that I added. Now this is where our beautiful chatons come into place. So I'm going to take my chaton. For those of you who do not know what a chaton is, you'll see that it's like a Rivoli, but it has a really deep point foil backing to it, and then the pretty crystal on the front. So I'm going to look at that. Oh, so pretty. So I'm going to drop it down in my little section here. And you can see I'm kind of letting the 4 pieces, the 4 components, instead of staying straight, I'm letting them kind of cup downward. That's going to really help when you do this component. So I've got this. I'm going to pick up an A, a B, and an A. And I'm going to hold my thumb here in the center, and I'm going to come across and I'm going to come through the next 8 that I added. I'm going to do that again. An A, an 8, and an A. And I'm going to come through the next 8. Up. See, listen, I got on my little rhythm there. One of you is going to say, Kelly, I was screaming at the teleprompter going, no. So an A, a B, and an A, and come through the next 8. Sorry, I made y'all yell at your computers. An A, a B, and an 8, and come through the next 8. And then an A, a B, and an A. And I come through that final 8 over here that I started with. So that when I finish that, and I pull it tight, it's going to go around my chaton, but it's not going to hold it into place yet, all right? So just try to make sure that that chaton is still kind of centered in its little spot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come through an A. I'm going to skip the B and go through the A. So I want the B to pop out here, just like that did. And then I'm going to pick up 2 of my little baby 15s. I'm going to skip the 8 and go through the next A. And look at that. All right. I'm going to skip the B and go through the A. And again, leaving it loose allows that B to just pop out exactly like I want it to. And then I'm going to pick up 2 15s, skip the 8, and go through the next A. Now, if you did not leave your little arches that we made, if you did not leave those loose, you're going to have to pull really, really tight at this point to kind of get these B's to pop out and to get it to hold your chaton into place. So please heed my warning when I tell you to make sure to leave those and do that little tip that I gave you where you want to pop those 8s out as you work. So I'm going to skip the B and go through the A, making sure it pops out here. 2 15s, skip the 8 and go through the next A. Okay. Well, if I can get in there. There we go. All right. Skip the B, go through the A. And then pick up 2 15s, skip the B, and go through the A. Get it through there. It's going to start getting tight here around the center at this stage, and that's fine. That's what you want. So when you pull it really tight, you'll see there that you have that chaton encased really, really nicely in the center. And I just love the way it looks. Now, you'll notice, though, that we still need to add in some little 15s to number 1, fill up a little edging, but number 2, to make it a little stiffer than what it is right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch through the beads to exit one of my 6s here that's going to be coming towards one of the little A beads here in the center of these components. All right, so as you can see, I am now exiting one of my 6s here at the A. So I'm going to pick up a 15 and go through the A. A 15 and go through the 6. And you see kind of how that pops that out a little bit and fills in that little space. So now I'm going to stitch around to come out of the next one. Okay. And I'm just going through the edging here. And then when I come out of the 6, if you feel like that A is kind of really close to the 6, just give it a little tug like this, and that'll kind of get it in there for you. So I go through the A, and then a 15, and go through the 6. Just like that. Now, when I get to the next 6, you can do this at any point of the piece, but when I get to the next 6, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my little lupus seed beads here. And the reason I'm going to go ahead and do this is just so that I can be done with it and not have to worry about it. On the original earring, you can see here, like I showed you earlier, I did some 11s and a 4mm and a wire protector. But it allows the earring to be able to move around like this so that you can see the back We don't want people to see the back when they can see the front. So I'm going to use my little 15s, and I'm going to pick up 8 15s. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And I'm going to come around and make a circle. So I'm just going to do just like that to make a circle of beads. Now I'm going to go through and reinforce these a couple of times. And we do that just by going back through all the beads again that we just added. Again, this is a suggestion. I know someone is talking to their screen right now going, I don't do mine like that. I do it a different way. And that's fine, guys. It's completely fine. Just do your little hook however you want to do. And then once you're happy with the reinforcement and all of that, you are going to continue to stitch around, putting in those little 15s. I've got 2 to add here and 2 to add here, and I'll have it done. So once I have the beads put in, I can then tie the thread off and get rid of it and make the second component so that I will have my beautiful earrings. Now the final step is to open up our ear wire. Because these ear wires are made the way they are, I know that I'm going to have to do it like this to thread it through. And then all I have to do is take and close that so that now I have it finished. And I love, love, love this color combination. Man, it reminds me, it's so beachy to me. Absolutely beachy. I love it. So once I get the little ear wire on here and get it closed, I then have my completed pair to wear, and I just love it. I think it's so much prettier than the original version with that 6mm flat back in there. I just really, really, really like it. So you can see here is another version of that one. And then like I said, this one here was with the size 11 Mayuki beads. So you can see what it would look like with different colors and different sizes. So friends, I hope you enjoyed learning this retro redo for March 2022. I do have kits available while supplies last on my website at offthebeadedpathbeadstore.com. I also have the step-by-step pattern available as an instant download version and a printed version where we mail it to your home. And again, that is on my website, offthebeadedpathbeadstore.com. Links for everything that I used today can be found down below in the description box, and the colors, the specific colors that I use, are listed on the pattern. So if you purchase the pattern, you'll have all the colors that I used today. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.